All right, today we're tackling a giant of sociology, Emile Durkheim, and a really fascinating paradox that sits right at the heart of everything he thought. So right off the bat, we've got a puzzle on our hands. Durkheim builds this entire science of society that seems to just shove the individual off to the side, even calling us indeterminate substance. But then, and this is the twist, his work ends up with this huge celebration, almost a worship of the individual person. So how on earth is that possible? That's the mystery we're going to solve together. To get this, we really need to understand the man and what he was trying to do. Emile Durkheim, this guy is basically the founder of French sociology, and his project was nothing short of massive. You've got to picture the world he was living in. This wasn't some academic in an ivory tower. This was late 19th century France, a country just reeling from a humiliating military defeat and all the chaos of the Industrial Revolution. And Durkheim had this passionate belief that, just like we have sciences for nature, we absolutely had to have a true science of society to heal these really deep moral wounds. For him, science was the answer. It was salvation.
Okay, but if you're going to build a whole new science, first things first, you have to know what it is you're actually studying, right? It couldn't just be biology or psychology all over again. No, it needed its own unique thing to look at. And this is his big idea, something he called the social fact. Just think about it. Things like the language you speak, the laws you follow, or the money you use. You didn't invent any of them, did you? They were here long before you, and they'll be here long after you're gone. So they are external to you, and they have a kind of coercive power. You're pressured to use them and to use them the right way. For Durkheim, these powerful external forces were the things sociology should be studying. So, to study these social facts like a real scientist, Durkheim came up with a really simple but kind of radical rule. He insisted that sociologists must treat social phenomena as things. Now, hold on. That doesn't mean he thought they were physical objects like a rock or a chair. It means we have to study them as they are, as real external forces, not how we wish they were or what our personal opinions are. You have to be objective. So how do you actually pull that off? How do you scientifically measure something you can't even see, like social solidarity? Well, Durkheim's method is actually brilliant. You can't see solidarity itself, so you find something you can see that represents it, like a society's legal system. By studying the laws on the books, you can objectively measure the kind of solidarity holding that society together. It's a genius way to make the invisible visible. But there's a catch, a big one. This super strict objective method created a huge problem. In the hunt for scientific purity, something, or more like someone, had to get left out. And that someone? Well, it's us, the individual. In Durkheim's model, you and I are basically just passive raw material, this vague and malleable stuff that society comes along and shapes. Why? Well, from his point of view, our individual feelings, our personal motives, it's all just too messy and subjective to explain huge social patterns. And wow, he did not mince words about this. He just flat out stated, every time that a social phenomenon is directly explained by a psychological phenomenon, we can feel certain that the explanation is wrong. For Durkheim, the cause of one social fact had to be another social fact. Period. This brings us to a huge question. If our individual minds are just passive, if we're not the creative engine behind anything, then where in the world do our highest ideals, our ideas about justice and morality and freedom, where do they even come from? And this is where Durkheim flips the whole script. He gives us this stunning solution. The source isn't the individual. It's something he famously called the collective consciousness. Now, this isn't some kind of spooky hive mind. It's much simpler. It's the total sum of all the shared beliefs and morals that are common to most people in a society. For Durkheim, this shared consciousness is its own reality, a psychological type of society that exists above and beyond any single one of us. We come and go, but it remains. And this is where he draws a really bright line in the sand. On our own, he says, the average person's morality is pretty weak sauce, of very mediocre strength. But the collective type, that shared consciousness of society, that is the source of the powerful morals and incredible ideals that are so much bigger than any one individual. Society itself is the creator of our ideals. His logic is just simple and powerful. The greater cannot come out of the less. Our huge ideals of humanity and justice and dignity, they couldn't possibly just bubble up from our own little mediocre selves. No, they have to come from a source that is greater than us. And that source is the collective life of society. And that right there brings us full circle. We're back to our paradox, and now
Finally, we have our beautiful solution. See, the individual doesn't get erased at all. Instead, the very idea of the human person, that person we cherish with dignity and rights and value, that idea is itself a social creation. Durkheim isn't celebrating the biological animal we're born as. He's celebrating the person who has been lifted up, made human, and given moral worth by society. We are made human by the group. So let's just boil this all down. What are the big takeaways here? First, to be socialized is to be humanized. Our humanity is a gift from the group. Second, society isn't just a pile of people. It's a creative force that actually generates our highest ideals. Third, the state isn't the enemy of the individual. It's the very thing that gives us rights and asks us to live a moral life. And finally, the individual doesn't come first. We get our value, our very identity from society. It's a really powerful thought, and I'll just leave you with this. If society is the source of all that makes us who we are we without it?